It's time for the Jacksonville Jaguars edition of Half Empty or Half Full. We're doing it for all 32 teams here in the offseason, free agency. You see how that thing has more or less shaken out. The draft on the way. Here and now, Matt Harmon, is your glass half empty or half full where the Jacksonville Jaguars are concerned? Which is to say, you remember the measure, will they finish better within the division than they did in 2016?
Yeah, I think that it's I would say half full. And I know that we get suckered into the Jags, it seems like every offseason. But while I don't know that Blake Bortles is ever going to be sort of a franchise-level quarterback like we might have thought after a really statistically productive but still questionable 2015 season, I think he's salvageable as like the 20th best quarterback in the NFL, and that would be good enough with what they've put the pieces around him to be better than fourth in the division or picking top 5 again next year. So I think it's a half full approach. I think there's enough good players on the offense. And look at, I mean, Bouye and Ramsey is a really intimidating, like, cornerstone, 2 defensive shutdown cornerbacks there.
How about the whole secondary now? At least the pedigree of that entire the entire defense. The defense has a chance to be, people like to say dominant, myself included. Oh, that's a dominant shutdown defense. That defense has a legitimate chance to be a top 3 defense given the pieces that they're going to roll out there.
So you know this, Dave, that I'm tight with some Jaguars people on Twitter because of Allen Robinson and all that. Because they've come at you before. And
but by the way, let me just say for the record, history or the past year has proven me correct. Right? I said I know someone high in the organization or tied to the organization who has suggested to me that there are some concerns with the coaching staff about Blake Bortles' willingness or ability to fully grasp the playbook. I said that and people came at me. How dare I? What are my sources? I'm not a reporter. I'm not giving my sources. That's just what I'm more casual than that. It was, what somebody who would seem to know what he or she was talking about. I was right.
Well, you were absolutely right, and I want to let the record show that I gave you props for that when I went on a Jaguars podcast recently. But and a lot of people started to hear those things come out more and more as the season approached. But anyways, my point saying all this is...
My point is I'm awaiting for the apology from those who attacked me on social media.
I got one over a text, if that helps.
Is that right? They may all be blocked on my social media. So
who knows?
But
anyways, my point in saying this is, like, a lot of those guys say rightly that last year they didn't win games because of their defense, but they didn't lose games because of their defense. They lost games because of their offense, which is, so that's what I'm saying. I think at picking in the top 5, they could, if they don't go running back, like with a Leonard Fournette or something, which I think would be aggressive, but like their defense is set up, like you said, to take that next step to be a game-winning unit, and the offense is now at a point that it needs to catch up. Are they going to do that with a new quarterback or with a running back in the top 5 picks? I think they go offense with that.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with any of that, and I think they have to go offense because you're right in saying that the defense should be improved, although let's not forget that most of the players that they've also lost during this offseason are guys that 2 years ago we'd have been saying, well, look what the Jags did in free agency. They really bolstered their defense. Take a look at the guys that they've signed. So, let's not count 100% on the guys that they've just given enormous amounts of money to stepping up and being, game changers for that team. But even if their defense is as good as it possibly can be, the offense just is, with Blake Bortles at the helm and a lack of a running game, is just not that impressive. I don't see how they score more points, and I don't see how they get out of the AFC South.
But it's the classic model.
The Texans are going to be better. The Colts are going to be better. We're talking about the glass half full, glass half empty. How can you?
I hear you on that.
The Texans, the Titans, and the Colts are all better than they were last year, and you could say that they underperformed because of injuries or whatever.
I would say Mariota is the X factor of the division.
Yes.
At this point. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think you're right.